Welcome to Respawning Fire, the kick-ass irreverent gaming podcast where three lifelong friends gather to talk about video games. I'm Holden DePardo. That's
Chad Michael Innes.
Yeah, you are. And you are you, and that's why we love you. We have
what if they're not you?
No, they are.
What if they don't identify as you? What if they identify as us? It's 2019.
Well, all right. Let me one more time then. Welcome to Respawning Fire, the kick-ass irreverent gaming podcast where three lifelong friends. Yes, we do, because we have to be all inclusive and do it two times.
Okay.
We're three lifelong friends gathered to talk about video games. I'm Holden DePardo. That's
Chad Michael Innes.
And you are us, and that's why we love us.
Did you ever have people in middle school, or I guess for you, pre-K, who would drink bottles of... I'm trying to describe this for people who are just listening and not being one of us who are looking at the screen. Who drink out of the side of their mouth out of a bottle?
Never.
It was like, that was the cool thing to do for a good 3 weeks.
That's really stupid.
Yep.
That it shows it lasted 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's stupid. What's not stupid is all the cool stuff we got to talk about this week.
What are we going to talk about, Holden?
Well, first of all, we're talking about the Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay that was shown off. We'll get to it. We'll get to our impression. I'm not going to spoil what we think of it yet. Telltale is returning. It's not reopening, as people are saying. It's returning. It's a different thing altogether.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are we editorializing in our advertisement, or are we waiting till we get to the story to talk about it?
Shut up, Chad. I'm introing right now. Post-game content for Borderlands 3 was announced, and Chad and I played all the same games. We played Control, Dragon Quest 11, and Man of Medan.
Oh, we've got... I don't want to call it a review, but review impressions. We're going to talk about our time with Control and Man of Medan today.
Yes.
Both of which are at some point of completion sexually.
Before that, let's talk about Sony's quest log. Starting off with Dreams, actually. Look at this amazing kaiju game a player made in Dreams, Patricia Hernandez says at Polygon. So, as you know, Dreams is a game where you make little levels in games, and someone made a kaiju game where you are a kaiju, like a really cute looking Godzilla.
The most adorable kaiju.
Yeah. Destroying cities, eating planes and boats, shooting lasers out of its mouth and tail. And it made me really want to get Dreams just to play this.
Here's my thought on this. One, how fucking impressive is this? It is so freaking cool. You wouldn't have been able to tell that this was I honestly, looking at this, thought it was made with Unreal or Unity or something like that. I had no idea it was made with Dreams. That's really freaking cool.
It is.
2, cute as shit. 3, how deep is the gameplay on this game? Probably not very deep at all. Probably just oh my god, I'm going to go run around on this for 35 seconds. Isn't that adorable? He's eating a boat.
It's 100% what it is.
And it's just going to be a lot of those 35-second experiences.
But I want to be able to play as that cute kaiju. It's worth $30, Chad, for the early access.
What if I just get you that kaiju as a plushie?
All right.
And then you can just sleep with it.
Yeah, the gameplay literally just looked like you destroy buildings, you get points for destroying buildings. That's it. I think that's really it. However, what it made me think of...
What did it make you think of, Holden?
We had this Friday the 13th game coming out. We had this Predator game coming out.
Oh my god. This made you think of Friday the 13th?
Yes. Not those games specifically, but that kind of style of game where one player plays as this kaiju, destroying buildings and stuff, and everyone else is jet planes and all this other kind of stuff trying to take out the kaiju before the kaiju takes out them and all the buildings.
No.
I think it'd be awesome.
No, here's what it is. Did you see Godzilla King of the Monsters?
I did not.
There are umpteen kaiju out there, and Godzilla's against them all. So one person plays as Godzilla trying to kill the rest of them, while the other ones, like Mothra and all these other goddams, are out there trying to take down Godzilla.
I think it would have to be a every man for themselves kind of death match in that case, because Godzilla, the whole in Friday the 13th, it's not Jason versus Freddy Krueger. It's Jason versus a bunch of hopeless camp counselors.
No, see that's where you're wrong. All of these other kaiju in the movie that you didn't see and are now commenting on are all on the same team, and they're all looking to take down Godzilla and take down the world.
What I'm saying is that they're on the same level in terms of power for the most part.
No, they're not. Godzilla is so much more powerful. You didn't see the movie.
That doesn't make sense to me then, because then why has Godzilla been fighting off one-on-one against these things for the past few decades?
It's a movie, Holden. They're all unrelated and they're all dumb.
Why isn't the Godzilla movie 100% factual and logical? It doesn't make sense.
No, I think that would be super cool, though. But when you get that, you also get the benefit of, everybody plays as a camp counselor in Friday the 13th with very slight differences. But everyone gets a really cool badass monster to play as.
You could just be in a helicopter or a fighter jet. You could be, all right, I'm going to risk it. I want to go on this top of this building and shoot bazookas down at them.
No. You know how many games we have where you could be a helicopter or a fighter jet? Too many games. How many games do we have where you could be Mothra? None games.
There's a Godzilla game. It's a fighting Godzilla game.
You cannot be Mothra in it, though.
Yes, you can.
You cannot. You were saying that confidently. Oh, and there you go. And then you just lost confidence. No, you're not. You can't.
We're looking it up.
Look it up. Lick on my balls. It's a callback.
Godzilla fighting game roster.
Look it up on fire. Oh,
Destroy all monsters melee. Hey
guys, thank you for supporting us. If you're a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/respawn-aimfire, we just posted like 30 minutes ago August's wallpapers. A little Mario-inspired brick action going on there. Oh, bricks. Put that all over my pussy.
So Mothra is not one of the playable characters, but extras include power-up orbs which provide additional health, energy, unlock a finishing move, or summon Mothra for an airstrike. So Mothra is in the game, but you're not playing as Mothra.
That's like saying, oh my god, Lucario. Oh wait, no, that is. What's a stupid... Okay,
oh,
Goldeen.
You're wrong.
That's like saying Goldeen is in Smash Bros. No. Goldeen's not in Smash Bros. You can throw a Pokeball and it goes, Goldeen, 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 but you can't play as Goldeen. You get to play as Mothra in this imaginary game that you made up that I made better. I said it's not one of the playable
characters, but Mothra is a summon.
No, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. You don't get to play as Mothra.
I didn't say I was right. I'm just saying
it doesn't matter.
Not a playable character.
You made up this game. I made it better. And it doesn't matter at all because we're talking about dreams.
Well, maybe you can make Fumito Ueda's new game, the Last Guardian creators game, better. He's looking for a publisher right now.
I'm glad you just raced through his name because I was nervous thinking about it going into today. I was like, how the hell are we going to say it? How are we going to say that name?
Fumito Ueda, that's what I'm saying.
Fumito.
So he created The Last Guardian, also did Shadow of the Colossus, also did Eco. He's looking for a publisher for this project. The game is just exiting prototype phase after 3 years of research, funded by, is it Kowloon Knights? Sure.
I'm a Kloon.
It's Kowloon Knights. They have a quote-unquote gray box level to show the publishers rather than an extensive presentation, allowing his team to spend their time focusing on gameplay. He promised that the game is going to match the scale of Last Guardian, Shadow of the Colossus, and Eco. 3 years and he made a single prototype. Sounds like it's going to be coming out in about the same time frame as Last Guardian. So PS6 can't wait. Can't wait for it.
Although I really am excited. I enjoyed the heck out of all three of those games.
I have Last Guardian now. I have not played it, though.
It is good. It is a very, very good game. And anyone who says otherwise is a fucking liar. Come fight me. I'll summon Mothra.
And lastly, there's going to be no PlayStation press conference at TGS 2019. Owen S. Good at Polygon says they will have a live show from its booth, which will feature gameplay from Neo, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, some other stuff, like kind of smaller titles as well. But they're not going to have like a presentation.
TGS.
PlayStation experience better be dope as hell.
I feel like they haven't had a TGS. I feel like TGS press conferences are not always a guaranteed thing for a lot of these.
No, but they have a history
companies.
of showing off some big stuff. Well, though, yeah, they've had a history of showing off some stuff there. They have.
Yeah.
They're a Japanese company. Tokyo's close to them.
Yeah.
They support their communities.
But I feel like it's not every single year. PlayStation showing up to TGS. Can't wait to fucking see what they're doing.
I think you're right. I guess what I was wondering is, I don't think were they at Paris Games Week?
That has not happened yet this year.
That hasn't happened yet. I feel like they just haven't shown off anything really this year. They still have to show off. I mean, they showed us the Death Stranding stuff, but now we aren't excited about pissing on mushrooms. And I still want to see when Last of Us Part 2 is coming out. I still want to know when Ghost of Tsushima is coming out. They have to show off more information on Medieval. And
do they, though?
Nah.
I don't think they do. I mean, they
launch.
showed the gameplay trailer. They showed the comparison trailer. We've all seen it for 20 years. And we know it's coming October 31st. I think we're good on that game.
They'll want to do a trailer close to launch to build hype. And I feel like, are they going to cram all this into PlayStation experience along with information on PS5? Like, how are they going to handle this? It's like, anticipation's killing me.
That's assuming they have a PlayStation experience, which I don't think they're getting this year.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think we're getting one either this year. I don't know. I want them to do something. Do something, please.
I'm totally okay with it. I don't want them to come out and say something that, like, come out with a bum presentation that everyone hates. So, I don't want that.
Well, right now, I am Dudley in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, tapping on the glass, going, "Move, Snake, move!"
Oh.
That's me right now.
How dare you compare Sony to a snake? A boa constrictor.
I think I did more of a disservice to myself by comparing myself to Dudley Dursley.
Dudley Dursley. Yeah, so what? They're not coming to TGS. Okay. Great. Cool. But some other dope stuff is happening at TGS, as we'll get to a little bit later. Coming up in like 2 weeks. Whoa!
That's pretty much all for Sony, because there's not much to talk about with Sony right now. Moving on to Playtime. Chad, we both played the same games this week.
Playtime.
What did you play this week?
I played, I'm going to just mention one thing. I'll talk in depth about another, and then we'll discuss the third. Number 1, Dragon Quest XI demo. If you're not aware, this game comes out on Switch at the end of September. The demo is out right now. You can play it. It is apparently a 15-hour demo. Not
Depends on
by
how much
time, but by what you choose to do in it. Which is, according to Barrett Courtney from Kinda Funny, is the worst part of the game. But that does carry over. So if you want to slog through the beginning of the game and then when it comes out, continue that same save and not have to do it again, do it. I've played it for about 2 hours, and I'm right there with that assumption of the first part of the game that, yes, this is every other trope of every JRPG. It's like, oh my god, we start in a small town. Hi, oh my gosh, you have to do a proving right of some sort. Get to the top of this mountain. Oh my god, there's monsters on that mountain that you had to prove yourself against. Who knew? I just wish we could just like find another way to start a JRPG. I think that would be cool.
It's been a while since I played a JRPG, which I think is why it didn't bother me that much. To me, it felt nostalgic as opposed to retreading the same stuff I've seen over and over again.
Yeah. But I'm still excited to play it.
Yeah.
Still excited AF to play it.
I am 8 hours into it now, and I'm pretty certain I'm close to the end. I think I went through it faster than I thought it was. I thought I was kind of taking my time. Apparently, I wasn't.
Getting through it too quick, eh? Premature finishing. I was going to say ejaculation, but that's not a pun. That's just sex.
Excuse me. I got to in the kind of the open-ended area that I'm in right now, because there's kind of like a few open-ended areas. It's not really an open world.
Yeah.
There's one little path I could go down. When I walked to that one, it said, "Thanks for finishing the demo. We're really excited, for you to continue the journey or whatever. And the game comes out, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "No, but I thought that I had more story they told me to go do." And I went down another path, was able to do that story stuff.
Hot.
So I think that there's still more that I can do. If I just go down that specific path again, then it'd be done for me. But it specifically asks you, like, do you want to stop right now or do you want to keep exploring around? So I just chose to keep exploring around. But I like it.
Explore.
I like it a lot. Have you come across any other characters at this point besides the main character?
Oh, in my party? No, I basically just set out by myself to whatever the fuck town that I'm supposed to go to as the chosen one.
Okay. The Luminary.
That one,
Okay, yeah. So you'll meet some more characters. At this point, I have 3 other characters in my party. But I literally just got the last 2.
Oh, speaking of, last week we were talking about, this is not necessarily speaking of, but this is related. Last week we were like, can you switch on the fly between 3D and 2D?
You cannot. Yeah.
You can do it at a church.
And it also creates a new save for the 2D mode when you do that.
How do you know that?
Because I've read that text in the game.
I don't know if that's true or not, but it says you can switch at will at the church whenever where you would normally go to save.
Yeah. But honestly, I like the graphics in 3D. I really like them. Although I made the mistake of going online and seeing the comparisons to what the PS4 version looks like, and I'm like, fuck, PS4 looks so good.
Yeah, Switch looks good, but it's got that thing, like the anti-aliasing on Switch obviously is not going to be anywhere near what it is in the other ones. And so when you get to an area with like a ton of grass, it's just like, oh man, so many jaggedy grasses. Get your jaggedy grass out of here.
Still really liking it, though. Oh, also, last week I was uncertain if moving around the battlefield in combat did anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
It does nothing. It does absolutely nothing.
You mentioned that, and I tried it, nothing happened.
You can switch it to a classic mode where you literally just stand in a line and go back and forth like usual.
But you got to make a new save file.
What was that?
But you got to make a new save file. Just kidding. You don't. I just made that up right now.
It is very easy. I've died once, and it's because I only made the arrogant choice to say, I'm not going to use a health potion yet. I don't have to. And it was stupid of me. It was my own stupidity that got me killed. Now I know just keep healing yourself.
Yeah, I feel
it's
like that's
a really easy game.
I feel like that's JRPGs. It's really, really easy, and then about 2/3 of the way through the game, difficulty goes, whoop, and you're like, fuck, I should have been grinding this whole time. I'm screwed.
Maybe that'll happen. Maybe. I just did a big boss encounter, and
you fought Big Boss from Metal Gear Solid?
Big Boss, yeah. And still wasn't that hard. But again, it wasn't super far in the game quite yet. But I'm liking it. I really can't wait to play it when it comes out. As a matter of fact, it's already downloaded on my Switch, the full version of it.
Hot.
Yeah, very excited. Chad and I also played Control. Chad beat it.
Yep.
I am not super far, but I definitely have a good idea of what this game is, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I want to hear what your impressions are since you've
everybody wants to be a cat. Quote, the Aristocats. That's a Disney
very
movie.
relevant.
No. Control is, to set it up for anyone who's not familiar with it, Control is a game from Remedy Games, who's made Alan Wake and who made most recently Quantum Break on Xbox One. This is a multi-platform game where you play as Jessie, one of two siblings, and she is investigating a building for the Federal Bureau of Control. And it's all sorts of like sci-fi, otherworldly, almost like Ghostbuster type stuff going on. Nobody's quite sure what's happening. It's very confusing for the first few hours as to like trying to piece together the story. And so she's there trying to find out information on her brother, and then she gets wrapped up into all sorts of other stuff as the new stumbles into the head of this bureau for some reason. This, by the way, will be a spoiler-free little impressions area.
Thank you, because I've not beaten it. And I actually really am enjoying the story and would like to keep going.
Yeah. So, two things right off the bat. One, this game has one of the most interesting and visually stunning art styles and art directions I have seen in a video game in a while.
Yeah, it has a cool aesthetic while still feeling very realistic looking.
Yeah, absolutely. And by realistic looking, you mean the building is like a fucking giant MC Escher painting, and then you have to cleanse control points. And
the textures all look realistic. It's not like Dragon Quest where it has this like painterly art style. But yeah, totally. Like the lighting is super cool. It's really the lighting, I think, that adds that atmosphere and that tone.
The lighting, there's a really cool color palette. Lots of like deep reds and grays and dark blues and stuff like that play really well together. There's a huge miss in this game is that there's no photo mode, because I found myself...
It's coming.
Is it? It's going to be too late for me, because I'm going to have the Platinum Trophy tonight.
It's just an easy platinum to get, because I feel like I've seen everyone on Twitter being like, I got the Platinum Trophy for Control.
I feel like
2
it's
days
easy.
after it came out. Yeah.
There's not much more you'll have to do other than completing all the side quests, I feel like.
Okay.
So yes, it is stunningly cool looking, interesting sci-fi story. Number 2, the lore and this world that they're building out is so freaking interesting. There are hundreds of documents and research and videos and audio recordings that you can find throughout the thing. And I listened and I sat there and read every single one of them I came across on the spot
It's the first game I've ever done that with. I usually just kind of ignore that stuff unless it's one I usually have to read for story reasons.
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, and this one I'm just like, oh, wait, I see a little dot over there on that table. I bet it's something that I can read. I can't wait to go over there and read it. And, oh, she's blocking her meetings. Why does she want to block her meetings? I don't know.
I love, so one thing about, you mentioned in Doom that you didn't read any of the shit about it, but I was like, oh my God, I found this so fascinating. And as I was going through this, about halfway through the game, I'm like, oh, I bet Holden's not reading any of this stuff, and he's not getting any of the enjoyment that I'm getting from this. So I'm glad to hear that you were reading it.
I think what makes it, though, is that in Doom, it's like, oh, the primary thing in this game is shoot demons. And in this, it's what's going on in this world. I don't really know. But this might tell me more about what's going on in this world, so I should probably read it.
Yeah.
It's the mystery of the game that leads me to want to read the things. And it has nothing to do with Lost, but it has this very kind of like Losty vibe in terms of something strange is going on that I can't quite put my finger on yet. And I want to go, like, in the case of Lost, is like going on to like 4, 15, 16, 23, 42.com to see like what people are saying about it and get as much information as I can. It's like that, but it's all in the game. And I can just read these documents and watch these videos and listen to these cassette tapes that are around to find out more about the world. And you usually don't find anything out significant so far, at least, with where I am in the game in each of those, but it kind of gives you this taste of making the FBC, which is kind of like the organization involved in the game, feel really real. And that just makes me want to keep going. There's a really cool character to the FBC, I think.
Yeah, FBC, the Federal Bureau of Control, which you stumble into leading as the director. These logs, research, all these, the whole thing, all the stuff you find, kind of remind me a lot of what you would find in Resident Evil as you're going through and like reading research notes and like journal entries of people, and they're like, went into work today and so was acting really weird, and then like, oh my God, the dogs are turning rabid, what's going on? And then you just like, as you go and you read more successive notes, you're like seeing the journey of them transforming into a zombie. This obviously is not about zombies per se, but it is about really cool sci-fi stuff. In fact, I was thinking about how to describe this game and AWEs, which are altered world events, which I'll talk about in a second, and the altered objects and objects of power. Is like, how do you talk about this without sounding so stupid?
And that's kind of how I was going to the whole Lost thing, where it's like, you could be like, say anything about Lost that happens in seasons like 2 through the end, and it's like, that sounds really dumb. I'm not going to watch that show.
Right? Because I was thinking about it, and I'm trying to describe, there are objects of power, and there are altered items. I think they're AIs, whatever the AI stands for. And it's like, they're everyday things that you would find in your home.
It's a horse in the carousel or something like that.
Or, exactly, carousel horse. There's a fucking plastic Christmas tree. There's a rubber duck. There's a bass, like the bass, the singing mouth bass that you hang on the wall, and it sings, "Give me back that fillet of fish." But it just flies around the room spouting devil nonsense and cussing at you. Like, it reminds me of trying to tell someone your nightmare, which is very terrifying and serious to you when you're having it. And then I go, oh my God, Holden, listen to this nightmare I had. I was in my living room, but the living room was actually like the playground at school. And there was this chicken in the corner. And then suddenly I get close to the chicken because it's calling out my name, but my name was Stacy in the dream. So it's calling out Stacy. And as I approach the chicken, it actually turns into my dad from 3rd grade. And we were so you just sound ridiculous as you're talking about it.
Yeah.
But while you're playing it in the game, you're not like, oh my God, a rubber duck, a flying around bass all over it's actually like serious in the game, and you take it seriously, which is so cool, but also funny.
This must have been really hard to pitch, like get the whole team on board.
Yeah.
Like, Tim, you need to talk, because that idea is crazy. If you want to take like a week or 2 or a month like off of work to collect yourself, we would support you with that, Tim.
Yeah. So part of my favorite thing about all this stuff that you're finding and reading about is I'm hoping every single time, I hope I get to learn about another stupid object and what it did and why it ended up here. Because each one kind of tells you, this is why this object was possessed or taken over by the hiss, which we'll get to in a second. Why it was taken over. This is what it was doing to people, and then this is why we found it and brought it to the FBC. Mm-hmm. I think my favorite one, I'm not going to spoil why or what it does or why it was brought in, but my favorite one is the plastic Christmas tree. Have you found that one yet?
No, not yet.
I love that one so much. I don't know why, but it's so good to me. I love it. No, I do know why. It's just so good. We'll talk about it after you've had a chance to find that and read about it.
Yeah, this is one I definitely want to do a side quest, kind of spoiler, talk about everything.
Yeah.
I really want to do that for this game. I'm really just in love with the gameplay of it. It's a very satisfying game, like, especially with the telekinesis power. You just pull something in and throw it across, and you just feel that. Every shot of the gun feels so good. Love that. It's like a pistol, but it can adapt to be other types of guns as well.
Right. The gun itself like moves and reshapes, and
it's super cool looking.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just do the L trigger, aim against a wall just to kind of see it move, and I'm like, that's really sick looking. And the enemies are really satisfying to fight as well. Like, there's just impact to every action. It's really great. And also, I guess you can call them boss encounters. There's kind of like boss encounters where there's like, at least I came across.
You came across the first one that's a flying enemy, right?
Yes.
I'm
past that now, but that's like kind of the first thing I came across.
That's something. Like this game is interesting in that it doesn't really have bosses in the main storyline. There are a couple of enemies. That was like one of the only ones I can think of outside of a few side quests that actually has a life bar at the bottom, which is why you assume it's a boss. But that's just a regular ass enemy. And
interesting. What are they that hard to kill later on?
They get a little easier as you go on.
Okay,
but
I have not come across another one. But
you'll start.
That one was hard to kill.
Yeah. They definitely don't have as much health as they did in that first battle.
Okay,
but they introduce new types of enemies in that way that make them seem like they're a boss battle, but it's really just introducing a new type of enemy that becomes standard.
Okay, so it's a way to teach you the mechanics of it without actually having like a drop down that says make sure to not use telekinesis against them because they'll dodge it.
Exactly. Yeah. There are actually a few bosses in the game, but I can only think of one that's actually in the main storyline. The rest are all side quests, and those are really cool too because they're also directly related to objects of power or those affected objects or altered items or whatever the fuck it is again.
Yeah.
So this is a game that I can't wait. I beat the game, and I cannot wait. I'm going to, immediately after this podcast, I'm just going to go and knock out all the rest of the side quests that I have left.
Nice.
It's worth saying, too, that this game is super engaging and interesting, and you can tell that because I played about 2 hours within the first week that it was out, and then yesterday I played from 10 a.m. to 1 a.m.,
Holy crap.
I only broke to get lunch and dinner, and then I came right back to it.
Wow.
So I think that's the longest straight gaming session I've ever played in my life.
It is really engaging. It is.
Part of it, of course, was I wanted to make sure I have it beaten before today so we could talk about it, but also I did not mind playing that much straight through either. It was so cool. I want to talk a little bit about a little bit of the atmosphere and the story a bit. The hiss, which is something you're introduced to right off the bat, no spoilers. The hiss is a really interesting kind of overarching enemy that you're fighting against. It's like this sound that's possessing people. It contributes to the aesthetic because it
you'll see people floating in the air.
Yes.
But they're not enemies yet. Maybe they will be.
Yeah, you're walking down the hallway, and as people, they look like they're suspended from a rope in their chest, so they're also kind of flying back, or their arms and their head are flayed back. And they're floating there, and then all the time you're hearing them all chanting the same thing, back through time, and you want to this, and so you're hearing all of this chanting going on around you all the time too, which makes for a really cool atmosphere.
Yeah, it's not scary, but there's a kind of level of dread almost when you're walking in a hall and you start hearing that. It's like, oh no, they're coming, they're here. But it's not scary necessarily. It's just kind of creepy and unsettling.
Yeah. And then part of what I find so great about the story and the gameplay in general is that it's accessible because it's simple.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way. When you're talking about the story, there are 3 or 4 major characters that you meet, and you have extensive interactions with them throughout the game. There are really interesting people, like the janitor is one of the
the janitor is really funny.
One of the fucking most interesting characters that I can't wait to learn more about.
Don't understand half of what he's saying.
No, at first I was like, should I turn on subtitles? And then you can hear in her inner monologue, and then with conversations with other people, they're like, oh, nobody understands what the fuck he's saying. I like that.
Well, it's funny. It's when I first started playing the game, the painters are coming in the house right now. They've been doing stuff, and this one guy had like the radio going on upstairs while he was painting, and I'm like, oh, I can't hear what this guy is saying. I feel like I'm missing out on something. And it wasn't until they left, and I'm like, oh, my next interaction with him, I'm like, I just don't know what he's saying because I don't know what he's saying because you're not supposed to know what he's saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that simplicity also carries over to the gameplay as well. We talked about, you have one gun that can switch forms to up to 5 different guns. You have, like, depending on how many side quests you do and how much you hunt down, you have 6 powers, I think, that you can have. And each one can upgrade a couple of things about them certain ways. And then your guns, really, you can slightly upgrade them and add mods to them, but nothing is so extensive or deep that it feels overwhelming or that it takes more than 30 seconds to a minute to understand how that mechanic works. And I think that keeps you in the game. It keeps you constantly progressing in a way that is super engaging and not intimidating at all. So I love that it does have that satisfying combat. It has that satisfying feel without being really complex.
Yeah. I do feel like it's worth mentioning the performance.
Absolutely. God, do I wish this game came out a month later.
Yes. It never did. It's like Breath of the Wild when it came out. It has some frame issues, but it doesn't detract from the experience.
I would say that about
the overall experience,
2/3 of the way through the game, when you start to encounter more enemies at once, there are times when it chugs down to like 5 frames a second.
Ooh.
And I'm playing on a PS4 Pro, and it chugs down to like 5 frames a second, and it is distracting to say the least.
It doesn't. At least you got farther in the game than I did by a lot. It doesn't feel like it only lasts like a moment. It feels like, and then it kind of stops.
It does. Yeah, so especially later in the game too, it is when you're fighting, it's basically for about 30 seconds it'll be that low until you've cleared out some of the enemies and it'll be back up. But especially early in the game, it's not super long lasting and it's occasional. In fact, as I was going through it, I was starting to think to myself, I was like, well, how often is this really happening? Is this something I can recommend? Is it like something that happens once every 20 minutes or so? I found that it happened every single time I cleared a mission. My game video would just freeze for a good 10 seconds, but the audio would continue.
I also noticed that sometimes if you were to like pause one of the videos that's playing in game, like one of the real movies, it oddly would start to have some performance issues there. And I'm like, this should be the most basic thing to do. It's a file that exists on the PS4's hard drive, and it's literally just playing a video file. So
throughout the game, there are a bunch of live action video clips recorded, which I think is a cool thing they do, not only for those clips, but also throughout the game. They kind of blend live action in an interesting way. But there are a lot of live action video clips, and not a single one did I watch without having some kind of hiccup in it, where it would stutter, or, again, the video would freeze, but the audio would keep going. And you're right. It's literally just pressing play. It's not rendering anything in real time. It's just, especially if you're watching it, you have 2 options. You can watch it in the environment, if it's like projecting onto a screen or something like that, or you can watch it in your menu.
Yeah.
But even when you're watching it in the environment, they've fixed your perspective on it. So they don't have to render it moving with you moving. And I don't understand why that gets so framey and hiccupy. Side note about those videos, have you found any of the Threshold Kids videos?
Yes.
The fucking creepy ass,
they're so
weird ass puppets.
They're so weird.
Oh my God. I want simultaneously a full-length series on Netflix of those things, and also I never want to see them again, and I want everything to be burned that ever existed with them in it. So fucking creepy. Yeah, I don't understand that. I don't understand how that. It must be some kind of like bug they can fix or polish up pretty
probably
quickly.
An engine issue, is my guess. Something underlying in the game.
Yeah. But so it definitely does have some performance issues.
They have promised that they're going to release them. They said it might take some time, but they promise they're going to iron them out. But the issue is that it might take some time. I'm not going to wait to play this game. I really want to keep going, which is where I'm kind of getting into the whole, I don't think it detracts from the experience entirely, because I still want to keep going and keep playing the game. I'm a little disconcerted to hear that it gets worse as you go along.
It does.
But I shouldn't be surprised, because they're not going to have less enemies as you keep progressing in the game.
Fewer.
So fewer. No one knew what I meant until he said fewer.
That's right. Yeah, I was struggling with, like, do I recommend this now or do I recommend people wait for a patch? And honestly, I think I recommend it now. If you've been curious about this game, one, if you're like on the fence, like, oh, do I buy it? Buy it. It's absolutely worth it. Support this developer. A single player, really cool ideas and games. Support them. Two, I played for, 14, 15 straight hours with all of these issues in mind, and it didn't matter because I was like, I care enough about whatever's coming next to find out and continue through this. And I think it's totally that balance of performance issues versus gameplay and satisfaction. I think it tips enough in the gameplay satisfaction way that I would recommend it.
Not spoiling the ending, but were you satisfied with the ending, or is the game about the journey, not the end?
So the ending is very interesting.
Okay.
It is interesting.
That's in Hollywood. That's key for I didn't like it.
No, it
was
so
interesting.
Here's the thing: it did not wrap up how I expected it to or how I wanted it to. But that doesn't mean I didn't like how it wrapped up.
Okay.
It was unique. I wouldn't have thought of that. But I respect their choice, and I thought it was an interesting, cool choice.
It was a dream the whole time.
The whole time. Yeah, I think that's about all I have. It's really great game. 100% worth the full $60, even with the performance issues at launch, and they're going to get fixed soon enough. I like it. And again, I like it enough that I'm going to platinum it today.
Will you platinum? Moving on to our main quest, actually, to talk about Man of Medan.
Ooh! We both played it, and we thought that it was worth even just moving that straight on up.
Yeah. I should note, I made a big old whoopsie 2 times and killed 2 characters.
That's part of the game.
Yeah, but I think that kind of made it so our ending was different than what it should have been.
The ending is what it is. Should have been is not a thing in this game. It ends a certain way because we made those choices.
I feel like there were answers we didn't get because
of the choices we made.
Yeah. So I think I do want to just preface with I think we should play it again to kind of see more of this, but I'm still would like to talk about it.
Yeah.
What were your initial impressions, Chad?
Just because I'm not 100% sure if we actually did say the name of this game. Man of Medan is what we're reviewing.
I did.
Okay.
I did say it, yeah.
Man of Medan, I was nervous going in, seeing all the 6s out there that it's getting. And I...
Really?
Yeah, everyone's giving it 6s, saying it's not good. And I very much disagree with them. I had a blast with this game, with the 4 hours that it took us to beat it today.
Mm-hmm.
I had a ton of fun. I thought it was interesting. I thought the actors were actually really well acted. Not like blow you away, but it wasn't distracting that they had bad acting. Sean Ashmore was my favorite, and I thought he acted really well as well. It was engaging. It looks beautiful as well. Like the character models, the environments are stunning. There are some gameplay hiccups in the way that we chose to play it. We played the new multiplayer online co-op where we both played different characters at the same time, going through different events. And
which I think was the highlight of the game.
I think so too. That makes for part of what's fun about Until Dawn and games like that is that you get the discussion about it. Either while it's happening, everyone's like, "Oh my god, you should make this choice or make that choice," or "Oh my gosh," and the tension's there. Or later, you go to your friends and be like, "Oh my god, did so-and-so live in yours?" "No, they got killed." "What?" "Yeah, and they got this guy and it came out with an axe." "Oh my god, I didn't even know that was an option in my game." Those are the 2 kind of really great things about this game. And I feel like you get both of those at the same time when you're playing it this way.
It's a whole different paradigm, honestly.
It is.
I mean, there'd be points where Chad and I were not seeing the same thing, but we were playing the same moment in the game. And the 2 characters that we were playing as had a different perspective because they were, we'll just say, without spoiling anything, influenced in a certain way. So we'd be talking to them being like, no, dude, that is me. Don't worry, that's nothing else. Stop running away from me. You don't have to run away right now. It was kind of cool to have that dynamic.
Yeah, and there were a couple of different types of levels where we would do this. Like one of them was I'm diving down below in this wreckage of this plane while you're up above on the ship talking to someone else. And while I'm down there, I'm like, "Oh my god, Holden, I just found this cool bullet with whatever on it." And then you're up there like, "Oh, I just talked to so-and-so and learned about this." So we're having these conversations in real time, or in the opening prologue, we're talking about like, oh my God, I just found this really gross thing or this scary thing, or oh my God, what just happened to you? Oh, I was hiding in a locker and somebody just shot me up. And then I open the door and there's this gross melted face Chinese guy. And then you're like, oh my God, that's crazy because I saw a kid run into a locker and then I shot it up. But this isn't spoilers. That happens in like the first 5 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
So like being able to have those discussions in real time and realize that our gameplay is affecting each other and like, oh, you're shooting me not knowing and I'm shooting you not knowing, that kind of thing. Like, it's super cool.
It was very clever.
Yeah.
It was very, very clever. I do feel like in comparison to Until Dawn, at the end of Until Dawn, I knew what the complete story was and everything was going on. And leaving Man of Medan, I do feel like I missed out on some things and that I want to go back and explore different options to see if I can learn more about what happened on this ship. I think there wasn't as much conclusion. Like
for context, 3 of the 5 of our characters died by the end. So there might have been some things, as Holden was mentioning, that we didn't get to see because of it.
That's my whoopsie.
I don't know if it was your whoopsie. So this is part of what I didn't enjoy about the experience. This game is obviously designed for this type of play in mind. Like they designed this one around multiplayer this time, seeing how people played Until Dawn. And so we played it online co-op, and there were quite a few times throughout the 4 hours that we played where I could obviously tell that like I was stuck briefly on a loading screen while like something worked on your time, or we got disconnected, or a screen popped up and said, yeah, your connection to the other player is weak. If you end up playing this way, I highly recommend both people be on a PS4 Pro if possible, or the highest level machine, have an Ethernet cable plugged in, don't rely on Wi-Fi, because I feel like because of our connection, there were quite a few times where the QTEs, the QuickTime events, the button prompts were lagging. My biggest complaint with this game is that the QTEs are too fast, but I don't know if it's too fast or whether it wasn't registering my button prompts as accurately, because there were a lot of times towards the end where I was like, I know I hit that button.
I feel like it was my fault, but thank you for reassuring me.
No, there were several times unrelated to you killing those 2 guys at the end.
I murdered them.
There were several times where I know, like I hit the button, I could see the remainder of the time count down, then it tells me I didn't hit it. And I was like, I know I hit that button. But there's also a visible hiccup where I'm sure that maybe it just didn't register and send to Holden's instance of the game to register that I actually did hit that button.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. There's also an element of... So, like, all right, they have this whole, like, keep calm mechanic where you see, like, your heartbeat showing up and you have to, like, time your hitting X to the heartbeat. And when we first started the game, it's like, man, that's the slowest heartbeat ever. And then suddenly it became super fast.
Yep.
And that threw me off. It threw you off, too, because I killed one of your characters, I feel.
That mechanic is a changed one from Until Dawn. Until Dawn, they had the, like, hold the controller as still as possible. And if you move it, and, like, you can't move it more than this or else you get alerted. But this one, I felt like was a cool addition. It's like almost a rhythm type thing where you have to hit beat, 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 so you're tapping X along to it. But that was where I noticed it the most. Where I felt like after I failed the first 2 or 3 heartbeat segments in my characters, I started to press it and anticipate it just a little bit. So press it just before the heartbeat got there, and it would register as hitting. So that's where I noticed that like there's a bit of a lag based on the internet connection that we have.
Yeah.
But just because that ended up killing more than half of our crew doesn't mean we didn't have a good time doing it.
No, I had a total blast doing it. Like I said, my only real complaint is that I felt like we missed out just because our characters died. That's not really a fault of the game. It's kind of more of a reason to go back and play it again.
Yeah.
But I did really like it. Totally enjoyed it. And I'm really excited going forward for what more of these Dark Pictures anthology games are going to be like.
Me too, 100%. We saw the trailer, so the one news story you have here for the review is that there's a trailer at the end after the credits for the next installment in the anthology series called Little Hope, coming in 2020, and I saw, all right, 100% going to get that and play that on day 1 too.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention this. A lot of the headlines I've seen have said this is a Man of Medan sequel. It is not a sequel to the story in Man of Medan. It is an anthology. It is a different story altogether. But like the headline for this is Man of Medan sequel, Little Hope teased for 2020. Not a sequel. It's not a sequel.
Yeah, but no one's going to click on a headline that says the second installment in the anthology series that includes Man of Medan. No one's going to click on that.
Yeah. Last thing I was going to say also is just one thing I really liked a lot more about this is its shorter length. First, it's only $30, so it's worth it.
Yeah.
It was about 4 hours, which, again, you're going to replay this multiple times. So really, it's more than 4 hours of gameplay you're getting. But I like that it was a smaller story, which makes it, I think, easier to do like online gameplay with it. If it were 8 hours, like Until Dawn was, it'd be harder to say, hey, Chad, let's get together this weekend and play 8 hours of Until Dawn.
It's for that reason, I almost wish it was like 2 or 3 hours. Like, because I feel like at 4 hours, that's enough that you have to break it up into 2 gaming sessions almost, unless you're with a friend who's like a really serious gamer and they're like, no, I get it, let's binge it. But if I was trying to play this like with Jesse from our Affable Idiots podcast that we talked about, if I were to play this with Jesse, I don't know if we could do this all in one sitting. And coming back the next time, we'd be like, wait, where were we again? What just happened? Which characters are dead and why? And so we have to catch back up. I feel like if we could do this all in one like movie-length experience, that could be a really fun thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a blast.
I did too.
As a disclaimer, all of the reviews out there
really
that are saying
6?
Exactly, yeah. Everything in the reviews that are out there right now, I feel like are saying the single player mode is completely uninteresting. Not uninteresting, but is the worst way to play this game. And I feel like that's maybe what they included as most of their review. And the way that we played it was the ideal way to do it. So maybe we just had a lot more fun because of it. I'm interested to see when you play it single player, how it handles some of those like simultaneous things that were happening where like you were playing a character and I was playing the opposite character and like I don't understand how you play both.
The game probably is a lot longer if you do it that way. Because you were playing things while I was playing something else, so we kind of completed the story on our own in some way.
From what I heard from other people talking about it, there are those segments where if we're playing 2 completely separate things, like I'm diving down to the shipwreck or to the plane wreck and you're up on top, you do play both of those. But I don't know how you could play both of some of the other things.
Yeah, because they rely on each other, absolutely.
Yeah, and once you figure out, like, one of them gives away the shtick of the other. So, like, at playing the second one, you're like, oh, well, then why would I do that?
Yeah. You'd be retreading the same territory a lot. I can see why that would get kind of boring, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't talk about the dialogue, bro.
You know, there were so many people shitting on that dialogue. I even said right off the bat, I was like, it should be illegal for people to call people sis in movies or games. Nobody says, hey, what's up, sis? Nobody calls each other sis in real life. But
it was so tongue-in-cheek, the dialogue was great.
It was. It totally worked. It totally worked. When there's like, dude, but you are my bro. And then the other guy's like, bro. It's like, it totally worked. Oh, and Sean Ashmore trying to be that like disgusting pervy dude was so fucking good. He was so funny. Yeah, great game. I had a blast with it. If you liked Until Dawn and you play it with friends, absolutely. Whether it's in the movie night version at home by yourselves, not by yourselves, but with friends, or online. Online apparently is the way to do it, though.
Yeah, total blast. I can't wait for Little Hope. I'm very excited for that. I feel like it's probably not that far away. They want to release 2 of these per year, which is what they've said they want to do, 2 per year.
Yeah.
Probably early 2020 we're going to see this.
Yeah.
So I'm pumped.
Oh my god.
We move to the quest log, Chad.
Moving on to our fetch quests.
Let's run through these. Actually, you have
punctuate that with a belch.
You have a lot of fetch quests this episode. Starting off with Untitled Goose Game gets a September release date. It's coming out September 20th, meaning it's going to compete with Link's Awakening. Odd choice, I think.
Okay,
it's going to be $15 at launch and $20 post-launch. Also be available on Switch as well as PC. Speaking of Switch, Bulletstorm is coming to Switch. It's going to be $30. That surprised me. I kind of want to play Bulletstorm. I've heard really good things about that game.
Yeah? Wait, great.
Actually,
$30. Go.
Wasn't it a PS Plus game?
Bulletstorm?
I think it's a PS Plus game. If it's a PS Plus game, I'll play it on there.
I'll look it up in my library and see.
Capcom is unveiling a mysterious new Resident Evil game in September. There's a teaser will be released Monday, September 9th, and it'll be playable at the Tokyo Game Show, which is going from September 20th, September 12th to the 15th.
Yeah,
so
new Resident Evil.
That.
Can't wait. I hope it's not like Resident Evil Revelations 3 or something.
It sounds like it's not going to be Resident Evil 8 or Resident Evil 3 remake or anything like that. It sounds like it's going to be something a little bit different, is what from the leaked screenshots that have come out.
Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition was a PS Plus game, so you might already have it. Unless you had to buy it again like you did Friday the 13th. Like
I missed that game for some reason. Co-op action RPG Ashen brings open world exploration to Switch this December. It's coming. It's also coming to PS4 and Steam. It's coming out December 9th. I am pumped for this. I can't wait to play this game. I'm definitely getting it on Switch.
This might be like my December game. on Xbox Game Pass. Like, because the last thing coming out this year that I'm going to play is Star Wars Fallen Order, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and that's like mid to late November. Yeah. So I'm going to need something to play like over the 2 weeks of vacation I get as an adult working at a grown-up job. Oh, so fun. So maybe I'll play that.
PlayStation Plus games for September are fucking sick. Batman Arkham Knight and Darksiders 3, 2 games where I'm like, if I could get that for free, I'd definitely play them.
Yeah, not bad. I'll play the first 30 minutes of Darksiders 3 one day 2 years from now. And Batman Arkham Knight, I had a good time with that. I hope they patch out the tanks. I've never played it before,
but I've heard good things.
You never played Batman Arkham? Have you played any of the Arkham series?
Nope.
What?
Not one of them.
What?
Haven't played them.
Okay, when you get an Xbox, Batman Arkham Asylum and Arkham City are both on Xbox Game Pass, so you can play those for free, and then you can play this for free. There you go. You got the whole collection.
All right. I'm definitely not going to be playing Mario Kart Tour, which is releasing September 25th.
Really? Why not?
Because I have Mario Kart on my Switch. That's basically a mobile version of Mario Kart as far as I'm concerned. I can play it anywhere I want to. Why would I play this version? Don't care.
I'm surprised at how much it looks like a legit Mario Kart game.
Don't care. Well, I have a legit Mario Kart game. It's called Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
You know what's not in that legit Mario Kart game?
What?
You don't get like the character-specific cool power-ups, like the giant Bowser shell that he sends out, and all the other cool things, like Yoshi's egg that he can shoot out. Those are specific to Mario Kart Tour. So
don't care. A new Shovel Knight. If they didn't release any new Mario Kart games ever and just kept re-releasing Mario Kart 8 on all future Nintendo systems, I'd keep buying it because I think it's the perfect
And every time
Mario
you
Kart
get an
game.
extra item.
By like 2030, or 2040, there's like 4 items that are listed there. That gave me too much. A new Shovel Knight game is coming, and it's about digging. It's called Shovel Knight Dig.
Yeah, it looks very different from Shovel Knight. Not like aesthetically, but gameplay-wise. Looks cool.
Yeah. And then Star Citizen Squadron 42 beta was delayed 3 months to Q3.
Isn't that the rip-off game that's not actually real?
What do you mean?
Star Citizen, isn't that the game that you wanted to do like a deep dive expose onto? And
Yeah. It's is it a scam? Is it not a scam kind of game? We had a big discussion about it once because there was a big op-ed about it. Not an op-ed. It was an opinion piece on it. It was a big like breakdown of like the history of that game and the people behind it. And it does seem like it's really legitimate. He's just doing a super ambitious project that's taking far, far longer, and he has some questionable methods of income, we'll say.
Drugs.
So that's the quest. That's the fetch quest log. Let's move to our third-party quest log. Chad,
giddy up, third
get
party.
Hyped. Because you're more excited about this than I am. Do you actually want to take this one? Because I think you'll have more energy to it than I would. I'll just be like...
outlines Borderlands 3 DLC / post-launch plans coming from Zarmina Khan at PlayStation Lifestyle. Guess what? It's exactly what you would expect from Borderlands 3 DLC. Woohoo! Bloody Harvest event includes spooky activities and events coming for free. Probably this October, I believe. There's the Malawan
spooky activities. Maybe December. I don't know. Spooky is like a big hint. December, definitely December.
There's a Malawan takedown with a new map, enemies, bosses, and rewards coming for free as well. And then a new DLC pack along the lines of Tiny Tina or the Torg DLC is going to be coming in the season pass. Adds a new campaign to it. Additionally, there is September 6th will be all of the Borderlands 2 DLC, including the characters you can now play as, will be coming to play Borderlands VR. So you can play Tiny Tina as a Mechromancer for the first time in virtual reality. Still no cross save of your characters between the two games, though.
Ugh.
Kind of Funny Games will also host a Borderlands 3 discussions to highlight all the goodies coming to the game on September 18th, which is 5 days after the game launches.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, Soup's cool.
You excited, Chad?
Yeah. V excite.
I'm happy for you.
I'm happy you're happy.
I think this next one also appeals more to you than me. Telltale is getting quote-unquote reopened. Really what happened is a bunch of investors and 2 guys, Jamie, is it Lily?
I don't know.
Alt Lily.
This guy's never been in anything relevant to us ever. So
yeah, and then Brian Waddell. They're going to be those two guys will be heading this new version of Telltale. They basically just bought the properties of Telltale, some of them, not all of them, and the name Telltale Games to basically quote unquote reopen the studio. They are hiring former Telltale employees on a contractual basis, and they'll be bringing them on full time as it becomes necessary. They kind of already said that we can't hire everybody; it's just not realistic. But we want to bring as much of that, basically that soul, and back in as much as we possibly can. Not all the IPs are purchased, which kind of makes sense. I'm sure like things like I don't know which IPs were bought and which ones weren't. There's no comment on that unless you've seen anything at all.
No.
But like I'd imagine like Batman would be more expensive to get. Or like Minecraft story mode's probably in the hands of Netflix at this point.
Minecraft did go back to Netflix after that got canceled, and then Walking Dead is now owned by Skybound, so they don't have Walking Dead. But it is still TBA as to like their licenses with Guardians of the Galaxy and Batman and Wolf Among Us and all the other stuff.
Yeah, they have 2 offices, one in Malibu and one in Corte Madera?
Sounds right to me.
Cool.
Wherever
and
that
then
is.
They're both in California. They're both their goal right now is really just to kind of figure out what the pipeline's going to be for the games. They don't want to have crunch, essentially. They want to kind of figure out what this development cycle is going to look like. So we'll hear more about this going forward. This is all still pretty new. A lot of Telltale employees have come forward to talk about this, and a lot of them are skeptical, just because. And this is an odd story for starters. A lot of them are skeptical just because of the contractual basis of employees being hired. But apparently the former employees that have been hired, who kind of know the deal, sound excited, apparently. Which is giving some of the other former employees who didn't get hired some reasons not to be skeptical. That's pretty much the gist of everything we know. I'm looking at the notes here, but that's pretty much all we know right now. I didn't expect this.
I didn't expect it, and I'm still cautious about whether this is a good thing or not. Because ultimately, when it comes down to it, some stranger just liked what they did enough that they bought the name, and they say, hey, we're going to start taking you guys back little by little to continue working on stuff. But it's a new person, had no affiliation with them before.
Yeah.
They're... obviously starting small, but they can't hire back all of the same people who used to work on stuff, so they're hiring back, tiny little bits of people at a time. Their offices are in different locations than where Telltale used to be, so I'm sure they're not going to be able to get everybody back, because not everyone's going to want to relocate. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect from this, but I'm definitely just going to keep an eye on it and see where it goes and how it turns out.
Yeah. To be fair, and the whole, there is one person, Sarah Gannis, who is coordinating the return. She was the director of operations at the original Telltale. She apparently had no part in the decisions that led to the Telltale downfall. However, being the director of operations, I am skeptical of that claim. But at least there's someone there who is in charge of the inner workings of Telltale originally that's kind of helping lead this. I mean, she's going to have some insight into what went wrong. And apparently she had a good reputation. Even the former employees were talking about that. I'm going to be optimistic about this just because I feel like they wouldn't have done this if they didn't like and respect what Telltale is trying to do.
Yeah.
And they have this concerted effort of no crunch. That was a big issue, a huge issue at Telltale. So it's really good to hear that they are out of the gate saying, hey, having a healthy work environment is a priority for us. That's good. But we'll kind of see. I mean, can they get... I just to be clear, was never really a big fan of the Telltale games. They never really spoke to me that much. But a lot of people really liked them, and a lot of people liked that soul that Telltale games had. And if they need to recapture that soul, I think is the biggest thing. They need to recapture that heart.
And maybe just build a new engine while you're at it.
Oh my god, that's why I never played those games.
Just fucking do it from the beginning.
They probably will, I'd imagine. And I bet it's going to be a while before we hear anything else.
Yeah.
Also, kind of a side tangent. It's not really related to this, but it is at the same time. The Borderlands 3 writer wants to pen Tales from the Borderlands Season 2. The lead writer, Sam Winkler, claims he inserted some winks and nods to Tales from the Borderlands in Borderlands 3 that he would love to pick up where Tales for the Borderlands Season 1 left off.
Props to Sam Winkler for just seeing Telltale being revived in the news and being like, y'all, I'm going to turn my own stuff into a news story because I want to get on that team. So he's like, hey, you know that guy who's writing for Borderlands 3? I also want to write for you. So props for him for taking that and using it.
Boom, boom, boom.
Boom, 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 boom. Want you in my room. And then we get to a spot that I think Holden's going to jizz all over his eyelashes about. There's a new gameplay demo for Cyberpunk 2077. Cybertrunk of the car. Showcases deep dive look into gameplay mechanics, Night City Specifica, and much more from Jordan Biazzo at GameRanks.
This was perfect. Just because they gave me more information, but I still don't really feel like anything was spoiled for me. I just kind of learned a little bit more about the world, learned a little bit about the game mechanics behind the scenes, and I'm just so excited. I cannot wait for this game to come out. I only have one minor nitpick about the demo.
I think they call those
that out of the
nips
way
for short.
Yeah, I have one little nip about the little, not really demo they showed up, a little like highlight reel they showed. I want to get that out of the way, and we'll talk about all the positive, amazing things. I think the Keanu Reeves character, Johnny Silverhands, looks like a PS2 character in this demo. I didn't think he looked that great. Outside of that, it wasn't even that bad. I'll say PS3, early PS3 character. Right. But man, this looks cool. Basically, the entire purpose of this was to show off a specific area of the world called Pacifica, which is basically an area that was starting to become a really big part of Night City, but then investment was pulled out and it kind of just economically went down the drain, and now it's crime infested. It's very dangerous. They specifically say in the demo, you might not want to walk through this area. You might want to drive through it, and if you're feeling lucky, if you're feeling strong, maybe go to the markets to find some weapons there, because there's going to be some good weapons there. But it is run by two gangs called the Voodoo Boys and the Animals, and they are in competition with each other for this region, essentially. And then they, without telling you that much, kind of showed you a mission involving the dynamic between those two gangs, and how a net runner, which is basically like a hacker, a stealth hacker, approaches it versus what do they call it? It was just like a strong man, basically, like just a strong character going.
It was something solo hero or something like that.
Something along those lines. Yeah,
the word solo was in it. I remember because I'm like, wait. Aren't they both one player? And I was like, oh, wait, no, maybe it's like Han Solo. I hope it's not like Han Solo.
So what I liked about this was just, first of all, just seeing some more of the UI in this game. That UI is so good looking. It's perfect for the aesthetic you're going for.
You think so?
Love it. I love it.
I felt like it was distracting.
Oh, I loved it. Why did you find it distracting?
I felt like there was so much going on, and the text was so tiny.
Well, I think a lot of the texts are not even supposed to read. Like, there's like one where you're hacking in.
If I'm not supposed to read it, don't put it on my screen. That's distracting.
But it's kind of part of but it adds to the cyberpunk aesthetic of like it's like in the Matrix. It's like saying, oh my gosh, all these little codes running by in the Matrix in the background, and I can't read any of it. It's so distracting.
No, it's not like that at all.
It is like that, though, because we're both cyberpunk.
Not like that at all.
And so I love that. The just seeing more of the UI is really cool to me. It was really cool though seeing both the levels play out differently for each character.
Yeah, it was vastly different between the two options.
Vastly, like the strong character can literally go to a door that's locked and just if they're strong enough, rip it open. That's so badass. I want to do that so bad. But if you're the hacker, you could like remotely hack people or something like that. Or you like there was one guy who's like lifting weights, and they say everything in the world is hackable, including that weight system he's using over there. So you hack the system, drops the weight that's on his neck, stealthily took him out, and like little things like that where I'm like, holy shit, the possibilities for this game are off the chain. Off the chain.
No longer connected to the chain. It's like the chomp from Super Mario got off of its chain, is chasing you through the level.
Yeah. It's everywhere. Those are my initial impressions. We might go a little bit deeper. What were your thoughts? I think you're less excited than I am.
Every time they release something for this game, I shift to a different direction on it. Like, I feel like every trailer comes out, I go from
E3,
I'm okay on this, and then I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'm actually really pumped for this game. And I feel like it's every time they show story related stuff, I get really hard And then every time it's just like more gameplay related things. I was like, oh, this looks like, okay, it could be every other game. Or I'm just like not as interested, or it looks too much to me or something like that. But every time it's story related, I'm like, yes, I'm super in. And I'm like, oh, wait, but my day-to-day is going to be regular, normal-ass stuff. So I was not as high on this trailer because I feel like it was more on the gameplay side. I don't
disagree with you.
And
I would just say, have you seen a world like this before in a game?
Well, let me finish my impressions.
Okay, fine, Chad. I'm just too excited. Stop talking. You're talking bad about it. I'm censoring you.
and that both of these look like they're going to be... I feel like we've seen the hacking stuff in a lesser form, but still similar to it in Deus Ex. We've seen it in Watch Dogs. And then we've seen, obviously, the brute force stuff and shooting people hardcore in just about every other first-person game. So I feel like either of those two ways, it's going to be... It's not anything revolutionary to me as it feels like they're trying to make it seem. It's just going to be a little bit... It's what we've already seen +1 a little bit. Mm-hmm. I also feel like there's way too much customization and ways that you could do things that I'm like, how do I just play the game? I just want to choose a couple of things that work for me and play the game. And there's so many other things it looks like to choose from that I'm going to be overwhelmed by choice. And the whole time I'm going to be like, did I pick the wrong skill? Am I going to do it? Is that something that I should have done? Am I doing this right? And then you go back to something like Control, and it's like, you have 6 skills to choose from. Like 3 of them are essential, and you can power them up if you want, or you can stay strong as fuck. Like, that's the kind of simplicity I love in a game. But then you get to the story stuff and the world, and I'm like, oh, shit. All of this looks really, really cool, and I'm super interested in how that's going to play out, and those character relationships, and what these gangs do. And then I'm like, but then I actually got to play the game. And I've got to use the same old stuff, and then I've got to actually like drive all over town, and it's going to be like GTA, I feel like, where there's just like so much going on, and so much of it is inconsequential to things that I actually care about. I'm just so nervous and anxious about it.
No, I totally see where you're coming from on it. And I get that vibe too, where I was watching this going, this really is just an RPG. However, it's more open than any RPG feels like it's ever really been before in terms of how dynamic it can get. And I feel like it's really just high attention to detail that I'm excited about. Yeah. It's not necessarily because it's a revolutionary gaming experience. And I talked about this before a while ago, where it's like, Cyberpunk's not going to be replicated because it's not like a system that they're replicating. You can't replicate a high level of polish unless you just invest a ridiculous amount of money and time like they're able to do into making a game like this. So like, I agree with you completely. This isn't like, like when Metal Gear Solid came out and it made a whole new genre of like stealth games that we really hadn't seen before. It's not like that. It's just, hey, you really haven't had a Cyberpunk world that's this involved before. You've never really had plus two, it's an original world. It's not like it's based off of some existing property as well.
Yeah,
which I think adds the excitement for me. So I have less of an expectation of what I'm going to see in the world. But I think the choice is what excites me, because it's supposed to be more like a pen and paper game. It's supposed to feel like more like a Dungeons and Dragons, where you go on this quest. The game is the dungeon master, and you get to make whatever choice you want when you're approaching that level. And that is really unique. But again, that's not like an original idea. It's just bringing pen and paper games to video games in a way it really hasn't happened before. But it's kind of always been like a goal of RPGs.
Yeah, I feel like there are so many games that are like, and you can approach this battle from any way you want. You can go vertical. You can slide down a zip line. You can hack this security camera over here and make a robot drive over there and explode in their butt. And I feel like every game has claimed to do that in the last 5 to 10 years. None of them, I feel like, have been really successful. And maybe this will be the first one.
I feel like this is going to be the first one that is more successful than the rest of them, to a degree where it might as well give me any option. It feels like it does. And basically, seeing how differently things played out in those two different scenarios, like the same scenario, two different players approaching the same thing, I really did get a vibe that it could be that much different.
Yeah.
Like Deus Ex, we played that. I never got a vibe playing Deus Ex that like I could have handled the mission differently. I felt like I just had to do the mission, guns a-blazing, hacking occasionally.
I feel like I played the opposite, right? I think I ended up doing it straight up hacking everything. I feel like that's because I think we had this discussion. I honestly blacked a lot of that game out But I think that I went straight up hacking on that.
I didn't. I didn't get a vibe that I could. Maybe I was just really bad at the game. But in this game, I
just
really
read
feel
more
like
the codex, and you didn't.
That's also possible. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm just so pumped about this.
Yeah.
Very, very excited. Last note is actually another story about this. Cyberpunk has talked about how they're going to be doing a dual franchise model, where they're going to basically be going back and forth between Witcher and Cyberpunk, basically like Bethesda's been doing with Fallout and Skyrim.
Cool, I guess. Both of those games are the same issue for me, I think. I think my issue with those games, and a lot of open world games that I just never even start, is that there's too much to do. And this is also with, think about Far Cry 4, whichever one we played. There's 4, so much to do that doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. There's so many things that, I could do this mission and help this person do that. And I'm going down the road, and then there's a bear attacking a guy, and I can go save the guy. There's so much to do that doesn't fucking matter in the grand scheme of what you're doing in the game. And then I'm also worried that Cyberpunk could go the opposite route, and that everything you do could matter to the entire world, and then that's too much. And there are too many things for me to be concerned about that could possibly go towards affecting this. And I'm not confident that they can strike a balance that's comfortable for me. But I am obviously in the minority because people fucking love The Witcher. And they love CD Projekt
I'm
Red,
not a big Witcher fan, so I'll basically just skip Witcher games when they come out and then play Cyberpunk games.
And people love
if I like
Far
Cyberpunk
Cry,
2077. We'll see. I feel like I'm going to.
Yeah.
We have a subscriber interrogative.
We do! Welcome to Ryan's Subscriber Interrogatives, where people write into @RespawnAimFire on Twitter or anything else in the world, and they ask us questions and send us kisses, and they paint us Kirby's on Nier Automata's screenshots. Because remember, Nier Automata is our barf game, and that was a callback to Jerson's photo mode submission a long-ass time ago, and I didn't even get the joke.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was one episode where I told people, I step-by-step told them how to open up their phone, go to the Notes app, sketch out Kirby, and then 2 months later, that was his submission for a photo mode, and I totally didn't even get it. What an idiot I was. Anyway.
Idiot.
Dust Earth Hill says, @RespawnAimFire, Ryan Subscriber Interrogative, who is your waifu in Pokemon Masters? The internet needs to know. Hold on, are you familiar with waifu?
I don't know what this question means at all.
I responded to this on Twitter myself, not from our RespawnAimFire account, saying, I'm only about an hour into the game, but I haven't come across a waifu. Was that a typo? And his response was, oh, you sweet summer child. Let me read you the definition of waifu. A fictional female character from non-live action visual media, typically an anime, manga, or video game, to whom one is attracted.
Oh, okay.
That is an anime-ass thing, apparently. So what female anime character do you have a hardcore crush on?
From Pokemon Masters?
From Pokemon Masters. First of all, have you played Pokemon Masters yet?
No, I've not. Is it worth playing?
I played it for about an hour. It's interesting. It's not what I want from a Pokemon game. But
okay.
There are a couple things I like about it. One is that I can see the potential for microtransactions, but it's not pushy about them. And in fact, it is hella upfront about them. You load the game and it asks for your birthday. And then it has a disclaimer. This game has microtransactions. Be aware of how much you're spending on it. And then it says, would you like to set up an alert so that if you spend more than this much money in a month, we send you an email letting you know, hey, you've spent a lot of money on this game. They are 100% transparent. Yeah. 100% transparent.
Good for them. Seriously, good for them.
Yep.
Because they could have just been like, hey, let them spend a bunch of money. We like the whales.
Yep, and they're 100% transparent about it, and I love that.
That's great.
But I haven't felt like they've been pushing me to. In fact, most of what you can spend your money on in the game, I feel like, is to unlock new Pokemon Sync pairs, which are a gym leader with a Pokemon. Anyway, it's interesting. There's a surprising amount of depth in the dialogue, and every single trainer has their own side quest. You can learn more about their background with their Pokemon, but it's just not what I want from a Pokemon game. Anyways, I was only like an hour through. I've got like 3 trainers. And obviously Misty. Hello. Everyone knows I have a thing for redheads. Someone else, I don't remember who it was, but
redheads are pretty great.
Someone in my life, I said,
they're just so rare. It's like, oh, I found a redhead.
That's similar to what, maybe it was you who said this, but I was like, I just have a weird thing for redheads. I like redheads. And somebody said, it's because they're like the shiny Pokemon.
I wouldn't have put it that way, but I do agree with the sentiment.
Somebody said that. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, that's exactly what it's like. So yeah, Misty, Dust.
I'm going to say Misty as well, just because, for 2 reasons. A, because I completely agree. And second, because I don't really know the other trainers in Pokemon Masters to know. I'm sorry, Dusty Euphoria.
It's Earth, remember?
Hill? No. It's Dusty Euphoria Hill. And
Look at the emoji.
For a second. Dusty Euphoria Hill.
Well, thank you for writing in. And Dusty Epilepsy Hill.
Epilepsy Euphoria is so much nicer than epilepsy.
Epilepsy is not mean. How dare you shame people with a condition that they have no control over?
But Euphoria is way nicer.
Oh my God. That's
would
like
you rather
saying,
have Euphoria
like
or
saying,
epilepsy?
It's not nicer. It's just different. That's like saying if I called someone brown-eyed, you're like, oh my God, that's so awful because they don't have
it's not the same
beautiful,
thing.
attractive-looking eyes. Everyone has beautiful eyes. It doesn't matter.
If you were to say, do you want brown eyes or green eyes? Like, well, that's a subjective thing. If I were like, do you want epilepsy or euphoria? I don't know. It's a trade-off.
It's a thing that you possess that you have no control over and that shouldn't have a value judgment associated with it. So Holden, shame on you.
I disagree.
Shame
you
on
know you're wrong.
You disagree? You think that we should put a value judgment on people with epilepsy?
I'm not saying
if you're going through Tinder and somebody has epilepsy in their profile, you're not going to swipe on them?
I'm saying the concept of epilepsy and the concept of euphoria. Which one, right now, which one, if you had to pick one, would you rather have?
It's not asking which one you would rather have. It's asking which label is associated with you, and it's not good or bad either way. It's just a thing that is.
To our knowledge, we don't know if Dusty Euphoria Hill has either or not. We're just giving him a middle name.
And I don't judge him for either one, if he does or doesn't.
Okay.
Moving
curious.
on to Game on Game
Dusty,
Show.
what would you rather be called? Dusty Euphoria Hill or Dusty Epilepsy Hill?
You don't have to answer that because your medical history is yours and yours only.
It's not about your medical history, Dusty. It's about an arbitrary middle name we decided to give you because it has the letter E in it.
Game on Game Show. The game on a game show called Game On. We play a game on a game show. Game. I've got a new thing I want to try out tonight. It might not work. It might be boring. It requires a lot of creativity.
So we're
gonna see how this goes.
I hate being creative on the spot without knowing what it is ahead of time.
Get out of here. Thank you. Okay. So this is a game called Michelle's Branching Storylines. Why is it called Michelle's? Because Michelle Branch.
Who's Michelle Branch?
You're everywhere to me. When I say close my eyes, it's you I see. First of all, also, when I close my eyes, it's you I see. How does the University of Illinois at Chicago not adopt that as their theme song? You're everywhere to me, and when I close my eyes, it's you I see. How do they not have that as their school's official song?
100%. 100%.
So this is a game where we introduce branching narratives into games that don't have them, and then try to figure out what would happen if that choice were made in the game. So this actually stemmed from us playing Man of Medan today, and I was like, what if other games, if we like accidentally forgot to hit a button press and something happened, like how would the rest of the game play out if this thing never happened? So I've got 3 games here, 3 scenarios where something didn't happen or something happened differently, and how would the rest of the game play out from there? That's what we have to decide. Number 1, in The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time,
I knew you were going to start with that for some reason. Is it hookshot related?
Nope. What if Zelda forgets to drop the Ocarina of Time in the moat? How does the rest of the game play out from there?
The rest of the game plays out where Link gets the Master Sword. No, he can't get the Master Sword.
He can't get the Master Sword. He can't obviously go into the future. He's got to wait his ass out for 7 years for shit to happen. The whole time Zelda's just like, shit, I've got this ocarina with me. Ganon's captured me. I'm just going to have to sit with it here and play Hot Cross Buns for 7 years because Zelda's not musically talented.
What he does is he gets a hammer and chisel and just gets the door of time and just starts to chisel away at the stone of the door. And that's like the 4th dungeon is literally just chiseling away at the door until you get in. That's what happens. And he has to do it for 7 years. So when he pulls the Master Sword, he's still older by 7 years, just like he was before.
Yep.
And he's just like, wait, he's like so determined about it. He doesn't even hear like the war going on outside the halls of the Temple of Time. As far as we know, no one goes in the Temple of Time.
Right? No, why would they have a reason to? They don't have any of the 3 gems.
Yeah.
Nobody goes in there to pray or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's literally just a coffin with 3 empty gem slots and a sword thing. Why does that thing exist? That's so weird.
It exists so that you can get the Master Sword. That's it. That's weird. All it is.
A step further, what happens if Saria never gave him her ocarina in the beginning of the game?
Well,
can't really do anything.
No, it's fine. She doesn't give it to you, but she teaches you how to you have to whistle the tune to get King Denario, or whatever his name is, the King of the Gorons, to talk to you. You have to whistle the tune instead.
Just what about the rest of the game?
Oh, well, let's see. You wouldn't be able to warp around. You wouldn't be able to use the Song of Storms.
I feel like there'd come a time where you'd be like, that's it. I'm human or elf or whatever. I'm a fairy boy, and I've gone as far as I could do, but I just can't do any more. And Ganon has his way.
Yeah, it's funny. It relies on a flute. Well, no, ocarina. But for the sake of a joke, it all relies on the flute.
Do you think there'd be a time when he discovers that, oh, the way forward is I have to play this on an instrument, and then you'd be like, fuck, let me go see if I can go buy something from the castle store, if maybe they got a recorder or maybe a keytar. Does he discover that that music is the key to a lot of these puzzles?
Yeah, oh man, I needed to rain in this specific room. Oh, I don't know how to do that. Maybe a magical instrument would do it. Who knows?
I see notes on the wall. Interesting.
Yeah.
Number 2, in Pokemon Yellow, your Pikachu dies in the battle against Brock. Not faints, but dies in your first gym leader battle against Brock.
You catch another Pokemon.
Do you catch another Pokemon? Because I'm thinking about it you're 10 years old? You bond with your first Pokemon, and then they die in their first gym leader battle. Do you put other Pokemon through that trauma? Do you just say, you know what? Maybe this whole thing is not for me.
Are you a sociopath or not?
You're a 10-year-old kid, and your brand new dog that you just fell in love with gets run over by a car.
He's a mouse.
I'm sorry. I was making a metaphor to real life. Okay. Your brand new pet dies. If your brand new dog gets run over by a car, then do you buy a new dog and then take it to the street again?
You probably would, yeah. Eventually.
Or do you just say, you know what? We're going to build a fence to keep him from going to the street. And then you say, we're not going to go battle gym leaders anymore. We'll just have a Pokemon and have fun.
The beginning of Pokemon, the beginning of Pokemon games are a little overlong sometimes. It's okay, I get it, how to catch a Pokeball, right?
Yeah.
Well, in this one, you get all the way over there, Pikachu dies, then you cry and you go home to your mom. She hires a therapist for you. You have to spend a few, maybe a few years just talking to the therapist, doing stupid button prompts like the yes, no, or ... responses and stuff like you get in Pokemon games. And then eventually, you're 12 years old now, you feel better, you get another Pikachu, you try again. But you need to level up more this time.
Yeah. And you also don't use an electric Pokemon against an Onix.
Yeah. Which is stupid. You learn the lesson. And that's what the therapist really tells you is, well, what the fuck did you expect?
Right?
Let me tell you about basic Pokemon types, bitch.
Guess you shouldn't have watched the anime where Pikachu does this giant-ass Thunderbolt and kills Onix anyway. No, it doesn't work. It literally does no damage. Interesting.
And stop trying. What are you, crazy?
If he just gives up and he's like, you know what? I'm going to be like that Shorts kid, the bug trainer, and just go be on a route. I have my Pokemon, my 3 Pokemon, and we'll just battle occasionally with passersby, and I'm not going to go in this thing to be the best in the world. He's not going to conquer Team Rocket. He's not going to go figure out the mysteries of the Silph Code. All of this stuff is not going to happen just because his Pikachu died.
It depends if he has to go to therapy or not. His therapist whips him into shape. Teaches him, use a water type. Or get the Butterfree. Level up your Caterpie till it becomes a Butterfree. I know the Metapod is worthless. I know it is. Trust me, just throw it out in a battle, take it back in, then use your beloved Pikachu to fight.
But if you
get
evolve
some
it
XP.
from a Caterpie, it's got tackle. Then it's not worthless.
That's true.
Got tackle, string shot, and harden.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, bruv. Number
Metapod's
3.
still pretty useless.
It is useless. In Super Mario Bros., the princess actually was in the first castle. How does that game play out? Because we still know Bowser kidnapped her. It's like somebody wronged you, but she was in the first castle. Do you continue through all 8 worlds to right the wrong?
I'll tell you what it is. Peach is like, this Bowser guy is really evil, and he has dominated and controlled 7 other kingdoms, including his own. Let's take down those kingdoms and win them back for Mushroom Kingdom. And then it's just
and then they fight side by side? Revenge. A lover's revenge.
Lover's revenge.
Do you think Peach is joining in the battle, and like maybe like Super Mario Bros. 2, you like get to play as her as they fight side by side? Or is she still like, yo, I'm going to go back to Mushroom Kingdom and hang out in the castle?
I think she'll go back to Mushroom Kingdom. I was trying not to say that because I don't want to be like mean, but like, let's be honest. She's going to go back to Mushroom Kingdom and she'll bake like Mario a cake every time he beats a new kingdom or something
Whoa,
like that.
That's sexist as hell.
It's not, because that's what he does in Super Mario 64.
That's
she gives
sexist
him a cake at the end of the game.
Hell. Oh, you're the woman? So you're going to go back to your castle and just bake me things for when I do
everything to do with she did that in Mario 64 because it's like, thank you for saving my life. Here's a cake. It's lame.
Oh my god. But everybody knows in Super Mario Bros. 2, Princess Peach was the best character.
Was she in Super Mario Bros. 2?
Yeah. That was when they introduced the concept of her flying and floating back and forth.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I thought that came much later in like the Wii U version or something like that.
No.
Which one was it? The Wii U version or the Wii version? I don't remember.
I don't know.
Interessante.
But yeah, she was the only one in that game who could fly.
Fine. I take it back. She uses her umbrella a lot. And
It's a parasol?
It's a parasol.
Fewer. That's it for Game on Game Show, and that's it for our podcast today. Thank you for listening. 3 things. 1, if you want to play along with us for Barf, we're playing Nier Automata. Again, get through ending A at least. Try to get all the way through E. We'll try to do the same with this deluge of games coming out this month. 2, if you are a patron or if you'd like to be a patron for $1 a month or more at patreon.com/respawn-aimfire, your wallpapers are there, and they are Mario-themed, brick-themed. They're also our Twitter icon on our Twitter page if you want to go take a look at that. If you pay for $1 for this month, you also get all the wallpapers from before, and they're all dope, so your mom's butt. Number 3, right into the show. Tell us what you want to see on Bits of Barf. If we do for Barf, Backlog Accomplishment with Respawn and Friends game for October that includes lots of little games, what little games you would like to see on that list. Thank you, everyone. I'm curious why this is there, but I'll say it. Thanks! And now for how we always end the show. At Matt from Rhode Island.
Okay, that's a weird glitch that's been happening. I remember the one time I'm like, hey, did you put at Matt in Rhode Island at the bottom of the note? And you're like, no, I didn't. For some reason, every time I bring in the new show notes into the main show note list, that populates at the bottom every single time for whatever reason. Matt, do you still have access to our note? It says you don't. You just want us to plug you? Is that what it is?
Oh, that's a sex term.
It's not. It's not a sex term at all in this context.
I'm going to plug your butthole.
It's not what I meant at all.
I'm going to plunge deep into that anus. Love you, Matt.
A plug is like saying what you like when we do guest spots and we say, hey, we're from Respawn and Fire. That's a plug.
Or like when you say, hey, I'm going to plug all your holes.
That's not the context I was
That's exactly
referring to.
the same thing. All right, thanks, everybody. Good night.